bro. Don't overthink anything, bro. We're living in the moment. We put in too much work, bro. Have fun today. Let's go. Bring it up, baby. Let's go. Get go, big. Get go. 3, 1, 2, 3.
What is good? What is good? What is good? How is everybody doing? How is everybody feeling? Shout out to the Raider Nation. We are live. We are live. We are live. Not much talking to talk about today, but I had to bring you guys this, man, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's these guys that are out on the market right now that may be looking to get picked up after the draft. And in our case, that's best case scenario because, as we all know, after the draft, we got over $20 million to work with. But before I deep dive into this right now, shout out to everybody who's already in the building. We got a knot on the chat. Thor was cracking. Eric, Blue King, Kenny. Bro, Kenny, you had a comment. Shout out to Tabio. I'm going to leave this on the screen because that was hilarious, brother. Shout out to Kenny in the chat. We got Mr. Redder. SVT was popping. We got Digital Prez was good. Freddie was cracking. Connecticut, DeMarcus, Port City, Derek Vehicle. Come on, man. OG Nicholas TV. We got Santi JD was cracking with you, my brothers. Suleni was good. Rensa, Greg, Kale, Valerie was popping. Brusky. We got Nick in the chat. We got Nicholas Martin in the chat. ASAP Guardian. We got Redder Cortez in the building. Shout out to everybody's already in the building. We already 100 deep, but I got to put this on the screen right now because this was hilarious, man. Shout out to Kenny. This man Kenny definitely wins comment of the day so far. And shout out to everybody who's already commenting before I go live and hitting the like button before I go live. That means so much, man. To come and already to barely be getting off work and I see all you guys already in here. That's amazing, man. I love y'all. But listen, shout out to Graham. We got a bunch of other people that just pulled in as well. Reddit for Life, KO, Carlos Jr., Marco, who else? Paul Gaines, Rock. We got Uncharted. Snoops was good. Robbie. We got, he says he did Abram dirty. He sure did. Andrew was good. So look, check it out, you guys. Check it out, man. When it comes down to the Raiders, we got just under $7 million for available to us right now. So we got just under $7 million. I believe the exact number is 6.7. So as we all know, with all these guys that are selling the market, the Odells, the Tyron Matthews, the Stefan Gilmores, right? We don't have the money technically to sign them at the moment. But what may happen is that at the end of the day, with all these guys, with all these veterans, not the guys, because if you notice, all these younger guys then went, they signed their deals, they're under contract. But all these veterans, what they may be doing is trying to figure out and make a choice until after the draft. We saw Richard Sherman do it. We saw KJ Wright do it. We saw, I believe that Casey Hayward was after the draft. It might have been just before the draft. But we always see every single year a bunch of these savvy and very, very good veterans go to their new teams after the draft. And the reason why they do it is because they kind of try and play a leverage game, right? So they understand, let's say Akeem Hicks, a highly regarded defensive lineman in this league right now when healthy. He can go, hey, you guys are playing a similar system to what I ran in Chicago, and I saw that you guys didn't have a top 2 pick to go out and get a defensive tackle. I feel like I could be that defensive tackle for your team, but it's going to come with this price now that you don't have the draft to work with. You don't have the draft to add more players. So I feel like that's what's kind of going on with all these veterans right now that are selling the market because, listen, you guys, there is a ton of great talent right now in free agency still. So you got the Tyra Matthews, you got the Odell Beckhams, you got all these guys, Akeem Hicks. Like, there's no way that 2 offseasons ago these guys will still be on the market. And the reason, honestly, in my opinion, is youth. I think youth is a big factor on all these guys' decisions. I mean, when you have free agency to look forward to and the draft, it's harder for these guys that aren't coming up on their first contract to go out and get, to go out and get these guys that are, oh man, he could just go get my replacement in the draft. But they want to wait for teams that get desperate. They want to wait for teams that have an absolute pressing need at their position. So very, very interesting to see that. I'm gonna go ahead and take this down now. Shout out to Kenny, bro. He says, Andy, what's good? What you think about bringing Gerald McCoy back? I mean, look, when it comes to Gerald McCoy, I saw Kenny also in the chat talk about this. When it comes down to Gerald McCoy, it's health. It's health with him. He's a very, very productive player when healthy. And at the same time, he hasn't really played football in the last 2 seasons. And for the same reason, an injury. When it was with the Dallas Cowboys, he tore his quadricep up and he couldn't play. When it was with the Raiders, I think it was his knee and he couldn't play. So when he's out there, we know how much value Gerald McCoy brings to any roster he's on. We know how much value that man holds. But what I will say when it comes to Gerald McCoy, I know that he probably understands that at this point in his career, it'll be for depth. Anywhere that he goes, it'll be for depth. So I would like to bring him back. It really just, can he pass his physical? Is that injury okay? How's the quad feeling from 2 years ago? All that kind of stuff, right? Because we know that for these defensive linemen and offensive linemen, a lot of their power comes from their legs, right? A lot of their powers comes from their legs. So for a lower body injury to happen to a veteran that's already past 30, some would say is way past his prime, would you go out and bring Gerald McCoy back? Personally, I would bring him back. I would re-sign him, but it would have to be a heavier incentive-based deal. It would have to be closer to the base salary of the vet minimum, in my opinion. We saw us go out and give Richie Incognito the vet minimum, and that was probably the best thing that ever happened to the Raiders, because without giving Richie Incognito that vet minimum, we would have paid Richie Incognito over $6 million, and he didn't play a snap. He didn't play one snap, but we cut him, we re-signed him. So boom, we only paid him around $2 million for that season that he didn't play, which $2 million is definitely money that we could have used elsewhere, but it's a lot less than 6 in my opinion. How do the Rams even have the cap to sign Wagner? This is the thing, man, with the Rams, they're kind of doing what the Saints did, but better, right? They already won a Super Bowl. The Saints were trying to go all in every single year, push back everything as far as they can. And for the Saints, it's caught up to them. For the Rams, their general manager and their front office, it looks like they just don't care at all about the future. Like they want to trade away everything and they want to sign in as much as they can. And I understand that, right? Because you got a quarterback now that you feel like you can rely on and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really care about the Rams. They did give Bobby Wagner a lot of money, like $10 million a year with up to $65 million in incentives. So I'm definitely happy that the Raiders did not give Bobby Wagner that contract. I'm happy with that, but I really don't know what they have going on. I think that their time will come where it all catches up to them, but at the same time, when it's all said and done, if they have 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls by the time it catches up to them, was it worth it? So interesting to see how that'll play out. But honestly, I could care less about what the Rams doing. It is kind of unfair though that we're like so pressed and we kind of want to see all this kind of stuff. Like how come the Raiders aren't doing that? Well, it's a little bit different. Maybe the Raiders want to build more for long term, right? The Patriots were able to build a dynasty, right? And they never were in this kind of scenario where they were trading away all their front picks. They were giving guys multi-year deals with crazy amounts of money and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of weird what they got going on, but honestly, I could care less what the Rams got going on. Shout out to Arkansas Raider. He says Rams richest owner ever. They got Walton. Okay, well that's probably a big reason, right? When your owner can afford to give these millions on these guys as signing, it's a lot better. It's a lot better, right? Guys are going to be attracted to sign because they'll get all this money up front, and so far it's worked out for them. Shout out to Arkansas, man. Appreciate you. Let's see. Any new signing for the Raiders, Andy? No, Valerie. So it's been pretty slow on all signings for the Raiders. But what I will say, when it comes down to what we have As options though, there's a lot of options still out there. So I wouldn't really count the Raiders out. I saw the Raiders put up the post on their Instagram of all their transactions that they've picked up so far. But like I said, with all these veterans out there right now, with the draft less than a month away, the hard part for these veterans is over, right? The first 2 waves of free agency is already over. So they got that up out the way. They saw all these guys get their money. Now the easy part is sit back, wait for the draft, and now they're gonna get ready to get paid. So with all these free agents, these veterans like Akeem Hicks, Calais Campbell, guys that could really be a big factor for any organization that they go to, but specifically for the Raiders, they can kind of use leverage after the draft, right? They can see what teams drafted what needs is still available on their roster, what positions did they not address in free agency or the draft, all that kind of stuff. They can look at all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something to look into. And shout out to my guy, wasted talent, man. Put up a dope video on his Instagram. I think a couple minutes ago. Shout out to Wasted, man. The best is yet to come from my brother, and he is growing like wildfire. I think that's the saying. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm gonna say it anyways. The man is growing. That's what I'm trying to say. So shout out to my guy Wasted. Yeah, man. If you ain't checked my dog out, check him out. Pretty simple as that. It's pretty simple as that. Let's see. With cap space, you can sign whoever at whatever rate and go as much over the cap as you want, but you cannot make another transaction until you get back under. Connecticut, that is not true. That is not true. Because before the Packers went out and got rid of Devontae Adams and traded him to the Las Vegas Raiders, they were almost $30 million in the negative. And they still signed Devondre Campbell, the linebacker, to a 5-year, $50 million deal. And they were $30 million under the cap at that point. It's just you can go negative, but you have to be at that range at the not you don't even have to be positive. You just have to meet the salary cap threshold by a certain day beginning the next season. So that's all you have to do. But you can sign as much people as possible when you're in the negative. You just can't go too far under the negative to the point where you'll never be able to get out. Because then at that point, the league can penalize you. The league can take away capital, draft capital. They can take all this kind of stuff. They can fine you. They can do everything. They can do everything they want. Shout out to Redder Gabe. He says, "What up, Andy? What's good with you?" Another great Redder content creator, puts on a good show. The Wake and Bake show, that shit's fire, man. Always pulling up in the morning, putting on the show for the Redder Nation, man. Shout out to him. But look, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up right here so we could talk about specific names, because this name right here, J.C. Tretter, is a name that has really been popping up along the Raiders name and franchise for the last couple weeks. I think this last week. And I want to go ahead and read this off to you, right? He says, Tretter has been a solid part of the Cleveland Browns offensive line since they signed him from Green Bay. He has 5 consecutive seasons starting and has earned at least a 72 overall PFF grade in the last 4 of them. That's a good average right there. Pass blocking is his strengths, and he now has even 7 straight years with a PFF pass blocking grade in the 80s, but his run blocking is typically very solid as well. To me, when it comes to JC Tretter, however you want to say his name, you're looking at a guy, you just read off that, or we just read that off. What does McDaniels want to do? We want a guy that we can rely on, that won't get our franchise quarterback hurt, but the fact that he said he's the fact that they read off or mentioned that he's typically also very sound in run blocking means a lot to me, right? It really does, because as we all know, Cleveland right now has had one of the top running games in the NFL for quite some time now. So to be able to go out and pick up a Tretter, however you say his name, this late into free agency, it's only playing to the Raiders' benefit. It's only helping out the Raiders. For him to be waiting this long to sign, the value is going down. the value is going down. And with him being able to do best of both worlds and pass block and run block, in my opinion, it's kind of the perfect fit for the Raiders because you got Josh McDaniels, who he's not one or the other. We had Gruden that he was a run first team. He was a run first player. He was a run first coach. That's what he wanted to do. That was his philosophy. When it comes to Josh McDaniels, he wants to be able to go week for week, game to game. He wants to do that. So when you got Treader that can do two things at a high level, that's very important. As we all know, we like to run screens, or McDaniels likes to run screens with the Raiders. So we need a guy that can get out in space. If I recall, they run a lot of screens out there in Cleveland with Kareem Hunt. He's a good back. He can get out in space and he can make a tackler miss. So I like that. To be able to possibly bring him in would be very, very good for the Raiders. I would love for that to happen. Now, another name that I want to talk about is Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is extremely, extremely versatile. Extremely, extremely versatile. Probably the most versatile defensive lineman in free agency. I wouldn't say in the league because I really don't know the rest of these guys. I probably would put Melvin Ingram as another extremely versatile guy. But when it comes down to Calais Campbell, he not only would start for the Raiders, but he would fill a need. He would definitely, definitely fill a need. And, even after Josh McDaniels had stated that everybody on this team, including Cleveland Furrow, is going to get a clean slate, although I agree with that, although I believe that, I still want to go out and get a guy that's proven on the later end of his career that you can get a very, very productive season out of, even if it's for just 1 year. Even if it's for just 1 year. Because to me, having a guy like Calais Campbell, and I think that at this point, Calais Campbell, you can lock him in for a 1 year, $6.5 million deal. I think you can do that with Calais Campbell, getting him for $6.5 million, and he'll do just fine for you. But what I think is with Calais Campbell, he's a guy that can play nose tackle. He's a guy that can play the 3 technique. He can play the 5 technique. He can play the 3-4 defensive end. He could play your traditional defensive end when you're in your nickel defense. He can do it all. And to get a guy that versatile after the draft, I think that right now, when you're looking at Calais Campbell, you may have to get him before the draft. You may have to sign Calais Campbell and get him onto your roster before teams go out and fill their needs, and then they'll be like, you know what? Crap, we didn't get a true 3 technique in the draft. We went out and we drafted such and such. Calais Campbell, I feel like he's one of those guys that his value may rise after the draft. His value in contracts and all this kind of stuff, I think may go higher once the draft is all said and done because of how much he can do. And that leads me to my next point. I feel the same way for a guy like Kyle Vannoy. Kyle Vannoy has a lot of links with the Raiders due to our coaching staff, right? He was never a Raider once in his career, but when it comes down to our coaching staff, I do believe that in New England he played a ton with this staff, but I kind of think I could be mistaken here. I'm not too sure. Maybe him and Patrick Graham crossed paths when he had his stint with Miami. So I actually think he was a year after he left, but it is what it is. And when it comes down to a guy like Kyle Vannoy is a guy that's kind of similar to Calais Campbell, but he plays that linebacker position. He can play the Will, he can play the Mike, and he can play the Sam. In other words, he can play the 2 outside linebacker positions, and he can play the Mike. He can play the middle linebacker position. And that's very, very rare to get a guy also this late into free agency for a cheaper price. So I would very, very, very much I would love a signing of either one of those 2 guys. I think that Kyle Vannoy's price is lower. I think Kyle Vannoy's price is lower than a guy like Calais Campbell. I think that Kyle Vannoy is probably closer to the $4 million range, 4.5 maybe, just because, he hasn't been as productive as a guy like Calais Campbell, and he's also been cut from the last 3 teams he's been on. So very interesting to see. Let's see. I understand money, but they getting paid mad money. Says, just think how the players 20 years ago, and more look at it. The NFL makes more shit more complicated every year. I'm old school when it was simple. Listen, I understand that. I definitely agree. We were kind of talking about this the other day. You know, these players are kind of just getting paid out the ass. Like, a guy like, in my opinion, MVS is not a $10 million guy. And I'm glad I know the Raiders were technically linked to MVS before he got signed to the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't think that he's a guy that's worthy of $10 million a season. And on top of that, he has incentives that can take his deal up to $36 million. When you look at guys like Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald, a Hall of Famer, he set the market. He was known as the guy because he was the first receiver to make over $10 million or $10 million a season. Now, MVS is getting $10 million a year, and he is not half the player that Larry Fitz is. So, I mean, that's just how I look at it. And I agree with you. I definitely agree with you, my brother Kerry. But that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. Shout out to Bill. He says, Andy, is right tackle our biggest need? Safety, what are you thinking? I am definitely thinking that right tackle is a need. Do I think it's our biggest need? No. I think the Raiders' biggest need right now on this roster is the nose tackle position. And I'm going to continue to say that, right? I understand that Josh McDaniels and Patrick Graham will be in their nickel defense a lot, over 70% of the time. But when we are in our base 3-4 defense, it is absolutely crucial. It is vital that Patrick Graham can rely on a nose tackle to plug up the middle. You have to have that. You absolutely have to have that on this roster. And as of today, there's 3 guys that I think can do that. One of them can be a little bit long term. The other two are 1-year rentals. And the 3 guys are Limbaugh Joseph, Brandon Williams, and Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman's a guy that you can work with for at least 3 years, and he could be fantastic for the Las Vegas Raiders. When it comes down to Limbaugh Joseph, he's a guy that's been playing at an extremely high level, and he will be a 1-year rental, but he could bring a lot of things to this team. He could bring a lot of things a lot of things to this team. Now, Brandon Williams, he's one-dimensional, right? He can't rush the passer, but he's big. He can plug the run. He could definitely plug up the run lanes. So I would say that nose tackle is the biggest need on this roster. I could be a little bit biased because I value the trenches so much. And I also, I played nose and I played on the offensive line. So I kind of am more attracted to that part of the football field, but we'll see. Oh my goodness. And shout out to Ricardo, man. Always blessing the channel and showing love, man. Appreciate you, my brother. He says, "Was good, Andy. Totally agree with you. Need to sign positions of need before the draft. If not, and teams get stuck looking and need positions, what do that we do? Their price are going to skyrocket. Defensive tackle, right tackle, linebacker, cornerback, safety, at least needs to fill 3 of those 5. I completely agree. I completely agree. And what's funny that you mentioned that on last night's show, Ricardo. I mentioned safety, I mentioned linebacker, and I mentioned the offensive line. So, and I also mentioned defensive tackle. So I mentioned all of those besides corner. I completely agree with you. The draft, especially when you don't have a pick in the first 2 rounds, you cannot be looking at the draft as a position where you are going to fill needs for your roster. The draft needs to be looked at, how will I better my roster? How will I get a developmental guy that can start in a year or two's time that can start for this team? Outside of the 3rd, 4th, maybe those back-to-back 5th round picks, the Raiders shouldn't be going into this like, oh, we have to get such and such because we didn't address this in free agency and we absolutely need this. I 100% agree with you. And to be completely honest, the only 2 positions that I feel like you can finish the draft on this year and say that you filled the need is linebacker and safety. After that, I don't think that there's a right tackle where we're sitting at, a defensive tackle where we're sitting at, and a corner where we're sitting at that can fill a need on this roster. I don't think so. And again, shout out to you, Ricardo, man. Always blessing the channel. Always, always blessing the channel, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Let's see. Tariq Woolen in the third or fourth. How would you feel about it, Andy? Tariq Woolen, he possesses a lot of fantastic traits. He possesses things that other teams or other players don't. For one, it's his frame. 6'4", over 200 pounds. That right there, if you're a DB coach, you must be drooling over the prospect. Another thing, 4.2 speed is absolutely phenomenal. One thing that I feel like kind of jumps off to me when it comes to Tariq Woolen is the fact that he's a former wide receiver transitioned into a corner. In my opinion, those are one of my favorite types of players to look at in any draft. In any draft, even if they're good or bad. When you have a receiver that converts to corner, it then has a different mindset. This corner does not have a mindset of he's playing defense. He has a mindset of, I know what this offensive player is going to do because I've been in his shoes. I've played that position. So for Tariq Woolen, automatically his play recognition and his route recognition would be above other average corners. Would I take him in the third? I would not. Would I take him in the fourth? 100%. And for some people may be like, well, it's just a round of difference. It is, but at the same time, I think round 3, you can definitely get a player where you don't have to develop. I think that Tariq Woolen isn't just a development kind of player. Tariq Woolen is a development type of player, but there's guys in the third round that you can put on your roster and day one, they will start. And day one, they will start. So that's just how I'm looking at it. But Tariq Woolen, definitely a fantastic question and a great player to bring up. Now, I see Douglas. He says, we signed 2 nose tackles. We signed 1 because I don't think that Vernon Butler is a nose tackle, but I could be wrong. And Douglas, when it comes to Kyle Peko, I love Kyle Peko's game, but what I will say is that he's not a starter on any team. He's not a starter on any team. But if your nose goes down, if your starter goes down, Kyle Peko can be phenomenal for your roster when it comes to filling in for 3 weeks, right? In my opinion, if we would have had Kyle Peko on the weeks that Jonathan Hankins wasn't available, we would have been a much better roster against the run. We would have been a much better defense against the run. But he's a guy that you don't put the starting role on him, right? He got a $1 million contract, and not that the money represents the player, but at the same time, if he was a starter, Douglas, he would have got more than that. He would have got more than that. But I definitely like Kyle Peko. Was Pop family was good, street life. Reddit critique, what's wrong with Nichols? Nothing is wrong with Nichols. Nothing is wrong with Nichols at all. But I'm not too sure. Well, I am sure. Nichols is not a nose tackle. He is not a nose tackle. He only played 22 snaps out of a 17-game season at the nose tackle position. He's not a nose tackle. He played over 385 snaps at the 3 tech, and he played 285 snaps at the 3-4 defensive end spot. So he is more of a 3 to a 5 technique kind of player. He's not a nose. Can he play it? Yes. He played it over 20 times last season, but he's not a nose. He's not a nose. So I wouldn't say that. Gotta be hella tough to be a nose. Absolutely. Absolutely, Lil Sean. That's their game. That's their game. Is Amick Robertson still on the team? Absolutely he is. Absolutely he is. Absolutely. Andy, does Sue fit scheme? He's a free agent, right? Ndamukong Suh, I'm assuming, is who you're talking about. He definitely fits the scheme when in whatever way you want to use him. He's another guy that's pretty versatile. He can pop in, he could play nose, he could pop out, he could play the 3-4 defense end. Sue has played in the 3-4 defense these last 3 or 4 years with Tampa Bay. So he definitely fits the scheme. And when we are in our 4-2-5 defense, when we are in our nickel defense, he could play the 3 tech. So Sue definitely fits the team. But when it comes down to other things like getting a true nose, I wouldn't go out and sign him to be a true nose tackle. Definitely don't think that he would be a true nose tackle for the Raiders. I wouldn't think so. What do you think the Raiders' record will be at the end of the season? I'm not too sure, man. We got a whole offseason to go through right now, Anti. My brother Anti trying to come with these questions, put me on record saying that the Raiders about to go 15-1, and then we go fucking 16-0. You feel me? Come on now. Shout out to Kenneth Bryant. He says 12-5. Salute, Andy. Appreciate you, my brother. Amick Robertson is most definitely still on the team. Let's see. Shout out to Ricardo again, man. Blessing the chat. He says, how do you feel about Abraham Lucas, tackle out of Washington, linebacker out of Penn State, Brandon Smith? You think they will be in the third or fourth? I don't think that Brandon Smith will be there in the third. Well, I think he'll go in the third, but I don't think that he'll be there by the Raiders pick. In terms of Abraham Lucas, he absolutely will not be there in the third round. I said this since the beginning, since day one that I seen Abraham Lucas film. Abraham Lucas has the best, and I'm not joking when I say this, and I speak by knowledge when I say this because I watched his film. Abraham Lucas is the most technically refined, most technically sound offensive tackle in this draft. He has better technique than the top guys. My thing is with Abraham Lucas is the fact that he's undersized. He's not the NFL standard 6'5" and up tackle. He's, I believe, 6'3.5" or 6'4", and the strength may be a problem. But when it comes to technique and understanding the position, he is not miles, but he is above every single tackle in this class. And I strongly believe that. And with that being said, strength has never been an issue to put on in the NFL. So I definitely feel like Abraham Lucas will get drafted in the second round. I do not think that he'll be there by the Raiders pick. If Abraham Lucas, however, is on the board by pick 86, you absolutely have to get him. And if he doesn't, if he makes it to the Raiders 86 overall pick and the Raiders do not draft him, I will run up, because I'll be in Vegas. I'll run up on that stage and slap whoever is representing the Raiders that day, because I would have told them to write down a fucking different name on that bitch and present it. Unless it's like a Raider legend. I ain't slapping no Raider legends, you feel me? But yeah, that's how I feel about Abraham Lucas. Second round pick, most definitely. Brandon Smith out of Penn State. I spoke a lot about him yesterday. Brandon Smith is a guy that he doesn't really play the true linebacker position. He kind of plays in a certain area on the football field, which is completely fine because he plays it at a very high level. But when it comes to Brandon Smith, I see the same kind of player that I see with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and not how they play, but where they play on the football field. Brandon Smith is a very, very good player. I like him out of Penn State, but where the Raiders are heading and where the Raiders are going with in their linebacking room, I'm not too sure that I see a mold and a role for Brandon Smith. But do I think that Brandon Smith would be a great football player in 2 years' time? Yeah, I think that Brandon Smith will be one of the top guys if he adds a little bit more muscle. And shout out to Ricardo again. He says, also, what do you think about packaging next year's first with something else to the Jets for third and sixth pick in the second? Do you think it's possible? So packaging our first round next year for the third and sixth round pick to the Jets for third and sixth pick in the second. I definitely will not give up our first round pick next year to get a second round this year. I would not do that. But I'm not sure that I completely understand the question though, Ricardo. If you want, just type in the chat and I'll definitely pull it back up, man. Blessing the channel, most definitely. I appreciate you, my brother. Andy gonna Will Smith? Nah, man. Nah, we're not doing none of that. He says Bailey Zapp is a baller. Bailey Zapp's numbers are insane. Most definitely. Bailey Zapp's numbers are insane. Nichols playing nose tackle? I don't think so, Douglas. I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. Andy, do you feel certain positions require more time to develop, and is the draft based on that? In my opinion, the draft is based on positional value. I'm not a big fan of drafting guys for need unless you're in the first round where you strongly feel like you have this guy and he could be he could be for the Raiders. He could play for us for many, many years at a top level. Especially your quarterback, Greg. I feel like if you're going out and getting your quarterback in the first round, that's really when you want to go out and get for need, right? The first two rounds, maybe the second round. But I what I really feel though is you should enter the draft knowing two things. These kids have never played in the NFL before, and you don't know if they can transition into the NFL environment. So, with that being said, I feel like your mindset going into the draft is who is the best football player that's on the board that's available right now? And the reason why I say that is because I'm gonna use the Chargers as an example, right? The Chargers had Jaleel Adai coming off a career season with the Chargers at safety. And they needed, I believe it was a tackle. They needed an offensive lineman. We went out and we drafted Colts Miller. So what they did is they drafted Derwin James. Derwin James right now is regarded the best safety in the league when healthy, right? So that's just one way that I look at it. The Chargers didn't need him, but they grabbed him because he was the best guy on the board. So I don't like going into the draft trying to address needs unless you're a team like the Jets, like the Jags, like the Giants that really want to fill their roster with these players. Shout out to Ricardo. He says, okay, the Jets have picked number 3 and number 6 in the second round this year. Okay, perfect. So 35 and 38. So would you trade our first next year, which could be in the high 20s next year? You know what? Yes, I would do that. I would do that. If you're saying trade away our first round pick next year for 2 second round picks that are that close together, yes, I would. I would, Ricardo. And I think you mentioned maybe packaging a player into that. I think we would have to package a player into that, but I would definitely do that. I would definitely do that. Having two picks in the top 40 that close to each other, I think that's extremely valuable. And to your point, I think that you are very right. If we are looking into trading away your future first, that'll probably, like you said, be late in the first round, I see some high value in that. But at the same time, Ricardo, with how many needs the Jets have, I highly doubt that they're looking that far into the future. But if you're asking me yes or no, bro, 100%, 100%, I'm doing that, and I think everybody in the chat would do that as well, right? Let's see. What's up, Andy? What's good with you, brother? He says we're getting a first round pick, a late first round next year. Yeah, exactly. That's a fantastic. Listen, if the Jets decided to do that, oh my God, that would be a real Jets moment for sure. Um, Douglas says, "Good stuff, Andy. I think we need to get some players on this defense beyond 1 year deals. That's very, very true. When we signed, when we signed Jayon Brown, I wasn't super excited. I was extremely excited for Jayon Brown, but what I immediately went to was, God, I hope we got him for a multi-year deal. And the reason why I feel like, and I really wanted the Raiders to go out and grab him for a multi-year deal, is because Jayon Brown is 28, right? Linebackers, their careers are a little bit, you know, they give a lot of hits and all this kind of stuff. So their careers is based a lot on health, right? So with Jayon Brown, he's pretty young. I was really, really hoping that we could lock him in for 3 years, right? Just and have him in just out his 30s and give him at 30, have him at 31 years old. But we didn't, but that's okay, right? You know what was brought to my attention was we didn't sign Jayon Brown for a multi-year deal, but the reason why is because we got him for $1 million, right? That's extremely, extremely cheap. So I'm not not disappointed that we didn't get him on a 2-year deal, but I definitely agree with you though that I would be a lot more comfortable getting guys on multi-year deals than just one, right? But something to look at, the Raiders, when they brought in Brandon Bolden, it was a 2-year deal. But the way that Dave Ziegler decided to structure the contract was in a very smart way. So Brandon Bolden, he's already in his 30s. Brandon Bolden's contract is a 2-year deal with a team option in the second year, which means is that in his second year, we owe him $2.75 million. But if the Raiders would like, we can get rid of his contract, we can void it, and there is no payment that needs to be made on the Las Vegas Raiders' part. So it's a very, very good deal. That's kind of why you don't see that contract be made too often, because there's no real commitment to the player long term. But I mean, I would do a lot of those deals. I would really like to see a lot of these players go on to 1 or 2 year deals for sure, or more than 2-year deals. Any news on Gilmore? Really, not much, right? Gilmore supposedly had a market from the Chiefs after the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill and gained all this money, right? But I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening for him. But at the end of the day, I feel like we still most likely are the front runners for Gilmore, not just because we're a team that can win now, but when it comes down to Gilmore, he has a bunch of ties with our New England staff. Not to mention Jason Simmons, our pass game coordinator slash what is it, defensive backs assistant, was with Stefan Gilmore last year in Carolina. So we brought in a guy from the Panthers that was with Stefan Gilmore last season, and that's on top of all the guys that we know from New England. So if the Raiders or if Stefan is thinking, damn, we wanna wait until I want to wait until the draft happens to see what team needs a corner, you know, we could probably throw him the most money after the draft. We could probably throw him the most money after the draft because shout out to Sean in the chat. He sent me a message on YouTube or whatever it was. If the Raiders or if all these free agents want to sign until after the draft, with us not having a first or second round pick, we don't have to pay these $4 million, $5 million contracts. So we have a lot more money to work with after the draft than mostly every other team in the NFL. So when it comes down to Stephon Gilmore, if he's looking at his money and positional value, you can get that with the Raiders after the draft. You could 100% get that with the Raiders after the draft. Let's see. Ricardo again showing love. He says the Jets could use the first to package and trade up next year or try and get DK Metcalf during draft night from the Seahawks. We give them first round, maybe Abram or Jacobs, or a late fifth, 22 or 23. I could see. I mean, oh man, I would love to see that happen, man. I would love to see that happen. I think that I believe the Jets have Tevin Coleman over there. I'm not really too sure who their workhorse back is, but I know that Robert Saleh, being their head coach and understanding the success he had in San Francisco, having the running back by committee, bringing in trading for Josh Jacobs, I'm not sure that's something that Robert Saleh would do, but I would absolutely love it. I would absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. That's facts. We get the money from the linebackers after June 1st, almost $20 million. Yeah, there's some bread. There's some most definitely we got a lot of bread to work with after the draft. Let's see. Ricardo got paper, bro. Ricardo be blessed in the chat, man. I appreciate him. Most definitely, man. Most definitely. He said, shout out to Henry. He says, I feel like you should almost always draft best available unless you need a quarterback and use free agency to address needs. 100%, Henry. 100%. When it comes down to free agency, the reason why you need to be addressing needs in free agency is the simple fact that you know what those guys are. They've put on multiple years on tape. And at the end of the day, they're already most likely developed. Most of the time, they're most likely already developed. So there's that to look at. Ricardo says, with those two, we get Travis Jones and a right tackle or a linebacker. Man, if we finished out this draft with Travis Jones, Bro, I would be super, super freaking hyped, man. I would be super hyped if we finished out this draft with Travis Jones, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh my freaking gosh. I would be extremely, extremely excited if we got that. Let's see. I want to pull up another player here. Let's see. Let's see. I want to pull up another player. Boom. Here he is. Here he is. So you guys heard me talk about Limbaugh Joseph earlier on. Let me just read to you what he's been able to do. Um, this is he's ranked 27th right now in terms of available free agents. He says Limbaugh Joseph has been a dominant run defender in his career, but is coming off of a surprisingly productive pass rushing season for the Chargers. His biggest plus is the capacity to occupy space and what? And dissuade interior running, making an impact whether or not he makes a play. And this is why I like Limbaugh Joseph a lot, is because how they mentioned it, right? Whether he's making the play and tackling him, or whether he's just disrupting the backfield, he works very, very well for what the Raiders want to do. And personally, I'm not too sure why the Chargers decided to move on. I understand the Chargers brought in Austin Jackson and Sebastian Joseph Day. But listen, Limbaugh Joseph, in my opinion, my nose tackle list goes like this: Eddie Goldman, Limbaugh Joseph, Brandon Williams. That's what I would want to do. That's what I would want to do, man. That's what I would extremely, extremely love to happen for the Raiders. Um, just a couple guys. I want to look at this, right? Kareem Jackson. Kareem Jackson, he's a guy that, okay, he'll probably be there once the draft ends. He is an underrated safety. And I will use the underrated safety on him because being in Denver next to Justin Simmons, he doesn't really get the love that he deserves because he does a lot of work in there. Now, he's 32, 33, so he's old. You would only use him for like a 1-year rental. He would be a band-aid over your situation. But he's very, 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 very useful. Do I think that he is better than Daron Harmon? I think that he's better than him against the run. But I think Daron Harmon is extremely, extremely, you know, productive in coverage. So something to look at. Something definitely, definitely to look at. Melvin Gordon, you have an extremely versatile pass rusher there. Patrick Peterson, he signed. Emmanuel Sanders. How would you guys feel about this? Emmanuel Sanders, in my opinion, would be extremely, extremely good if we were able to pick him up. And the reason why is because when he produced over there in Buffalo, he had Stefan Diggs, right? So he was able to do all the stuff when Stefan Diggs was taking all the attention. In this scenario, the defense would have to worry about Darren Waller and Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow before they're worried about Emmanuel Sanders. I would absolutely love this pickup. I would love that pickup. What would you guys think if the Raiders brought in Sanders? Emmanuel Sanders. I would like it. I would definitely, definitely like it, right? And then you go down a little bit more. You got Terrell Edmonds, a safety, not bad. A lot of players that you could bring in. Jabril Peppers, he just signed with the Patriots, I believe. Jason Ferret is a corner, but he's a slot corner. Chris Harris Jr. is also a slot corner. We were in on Chris Harris Jr. 2 off seasons ago. But I want to talk about this guy because, he was very, very, very interesting when he was in Tennessee, right? He played all last season for Tennessee, I believe, and he was ranked as a top 10 run blocker in the NFL at tackle. So I want to read this off. Perhaps David Quessenberry is perhaps better suited as a swing tackle. Quessenberry produced in a perfect role for his skill set as he executes all the necessary blocks in a zone scheme. though he does need to be better. He does need to be protected in pass protection. I don't know if the Raiders' answer at right tackle is Questenberry, but I will say that off rip, he's a better option than Brandon Parker. He's a better option than Brandon Parker. To that point, to that point, we may be running a zone gap scheme for the simple fact that in New England, they didn't really have a Kenyon Drake. But Kenyon Drake is very, very good when it comes to the zone gap scheme. That's where he put in a lot of work for the Cardinals and for Miami. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. There's a lot of other guys in here. You got Tack McKinley, been there, done that. We got Jayon Brown. We picked him up. I want to see. There was a person that I was looking at. Kazir White, no. Let's see. Let's see. Billy Turner, he went to the Broncos. Will Fuller was mentioned as well. Janoris Jenkins, no. I'm not doing Janoris Jenkins. Daryl Williams, he's a guard. This is an interesting one as well. This is an interesting as one as well, right? Coming out of Buffalo, Darius Williams, I'm not sure why they listed him as a guard. Darius Williams, in my opinion, is a tackle that has the versatility to play guard. He's a right tackle / right guard. I'm going to read this off to you. So he says, Williams has the versatility to play guard, but best play in the NFL has consistently come at right tackle. Every season he's had at that position has been a good one. When he moves to guard, his consistency is far more hit or miss. That versatility is valuable, but it should be seen more as a bonus when injuries hit because his best play is when he is allowed to start at the right tackle consistently. I think that Daryl Williams could be your guy moving forward. He could be your guy moving forward. Definitely could be, right? Played in Buffalo where they passed the ball a ton, having Josh Allen there. And they run a lot of screens. Does that sound familiar? Kind of. It kind of sounds familiar when you're looking at Josh McDaniels' scheme, right? They run a lot of screens, they pass the ball a lot. Josh McDaniels definitely runs the ball more than Buffalo, and you can kind of tell because we brought in a fullback. They don't really use a fullback, but Daryl Williams is he's not even sneaky. Like the production is there. I think every year he's played at tackle has been graded above a 70. So I would really like to bring in Daryl Williams. Like I said, I'm not sure why they have him listed as a guard. It just doesn't. That's not his position. That's not his position, right? Looking at the other guys they have on this list, I mean, Gronkowski, I highly doubt it, but Gronk could be a sneaky pickup, right? Gronkowski, there's a lot of ties here. Now, Dwayne Brown is a guy that you could bring in to play the tackle position, but you would have to move him from left tackle to right tackle. So we'll see. AB, fuck no. You got Odell Beckham. And actually interesting, right? Because you see Tyra Matthew on this list. Today, out of nowhere, like absolutely out of nowhere, um, you got Jordan Schultz. Jordan Schultz reported that the Raiders have interest in free safety Tyra Matthew. That was today. March 31st. Jordan Schultz reported the Raiders do have interest in Tyra Matthew. But, and this is a big but, he also mentioned, Tyrann Mathieu mentioned that he would love to represent he would love to represent New Orleans and the Saints, coming back to a coming back to a city that he played in college. And he also mentioned that head coach from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, called him regarding his services. Now, we have been linked to Tyrann Mathieu for quite some time now, a week or two. It's interesting. Very interesting to say the least. But at the end of the day, to me, it's kind of just a money game at this point. It's kind of just a money game, really. Now, I don't really think that we need to break down or read what they have to say about Stefan Gilmore. I think it's pretty obvious that he's a good football player. So, yeah, there's nothing to talk about Stefan Gilmore. But Listen, let me see what else we got. He says Brandon Parker to go. Hell nah. Gustavo says I still want Jabril Pepper. Well, Jabril Peppers took his talents to New England. I believe that it was just a 1-year deal as well, but New England will be using his services over there. A guy that I definitely would have liked to see on this roster. But we always said, why bring in Jabril Peppers? You kind of have Abram that's kind of the poor man's version, but we'll see. We'll see. How Ryan says, how much did they give Wagner? They gave Wagner 5 years, $50 million, up to $65 million with incentives. So they gave Wagner some money. They gave that man Wagner some money. Jack says, shout out to Jack in the chat, man. Says Charm, Julius Peppers DT/DN has been retired years ago. If I'm thinking about the same guy. No, Jabril Peppers. Let's see what's going on, Andy. What's good with you? Red Ruckus was popping. Yo, Andy, would you rather have Josh Jacobs or Christian McCaffrey? That's a weird one. Christian McCaffrey when they're both healthy, but from what I'm seeing right now, I'd rather have Jacobs due to the fact that he's I don't know, bro. I just Christian McCaffrey to answer your question easily. Lo Abrams is a crap version. Damn, Thor, come on now. Who will the Raiders pick up at quarterback? Funny that you say that, right? Because if you look closely into today's thumbnail, I threw in a certain quarterback. And that certain quarterback played under Josh McDaniels. He started under Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels tailored made and designed a whole new offense for this quarterback. And that's Cam Newton. My only problem is with Cam Newton is his ego going to be a problem? Does he still think that he is a top 32 quarterback in the NFL? Does he think that? Because if so, I don't want him here. But if he understands that his best days are behind him, his MVP days are behind him, and he understands that he just wants to be on a roster, he wants a team that can utilize his services. As we all know, we could definitely utilize Cam Newton when it comes to the red zone, or not the red zone, but when it comes to these 31s, I don't want Derek Carr doing these QB sneaks. So put Cam Newton's big ass in and make his 6'4", 260-pound body get this QB sneak, get this 1 yard. I'm with that. But I'm just not sure that he really believes that he's no longer a starting quarterback. His lack of fashion sense is a problem. Shout out to Jesus in the chat, man. He says, hey, it's my birthday. Happy to be here with my nation. Shout out to you and happy birthday to Jesus. Everybody in here, give a nice little warm happy birthday to my guy Jesus in the chat, showing love. And yes, I am also glad that you are here to celebrate it with the nation. Because guess what? That's what I'm going to be doing too. When it's my birthday, I'm here with the nation. Simple as that. Let's see. Cam gonna take over Andy. He was undefeated and lost a big game. That shit, hell nah. Bro, what? Cam Newton, hell no, bro. Cam Newton is not gonna take over nothing. He gonna take over that bench. That's what he's gonna take over. Facts. Happy birthday, Jesus. All that. My boy Red Ruckus, he a little bit into the future. He a little bit into the future. He said Merry Christmas, but hey, shit, Merry Christmas too. Merry Christmas too. Andy, what do you think about Daryl Williams, right tackle? Funny. That's funny that you just said that because we just talked about Daryl Williams, but I like Daryl Williams. To bring him in, he's right tackle from Buffalo. Also has versatility that if your guard goes down, he can play guard. But like the PFF, thing mentioned, you should kind of look at his versatility as a plus, not something that you should look into doing, right? I like Daryl Williams a lot. If we are able to bring him in, that's a fantastic pickup. And I think he'll be our starter if you do bring him in. But yeah, we'll see. He says, Andy, you get it, Andy. Stop. What? Merry Christmas. I'm with that. You could say Merry Christmas, man. Merry Christmas is in a couple months, but yeah, Merry Christmas too. Facts. Shout out to Jack. Thank you for reminding me, Jack. He says tomorrow is OG's birthday. Salute to OG. Shout out to Jack in the chat, man. And for whatever reason, if OG is in here, man, happy early birthday. I would definitely message you once I get off this live, man. Shout out to OG in the chat, my brother. He says, somebody, Andy, do you like Logan Hall? Not the biggest fan of Logan Hall. I believe you're talking about the defensive tackle from, where the fuck is he from? Oh no, I don't really like him. Logan Hall. I also don't think that he'll be there by the Raiders pick in the third round. I think that he might go a little bit further. Now, a guy that I would definitely look into if he fell would be Darion Mathis. I doubt that he would fall, but if he fell, like if we're playing the hypotheticals, I would look into him. Shout out to El Raider. He says, I'd rather take Mayfield over Cam as a backup quarterback. 100%, El. But I think at the same time, though, Baker's probably going to get a starting job somewhere. He'll start somewhere. Like, he can start. That motherfucker could start in New York with the Jets or the Giants. He could start in Seattle. He's better than Drew Lock for sure. OG hit 500 subs. Happy birthday, OG. Simple as that. Shout out to OG hitting 500. Ooh. Shout out to OG, man. Shout out to OG in the chat. Let's see. Andy, would you give Kaepernick a shot as our backup? Listen, bro, if Kaepernick wants to be a backup, bro, I don't see why not. I think if he really wants to make a return though to the NFL, he kind of needs to put that out there that he is willing to take a backup role. And I think he should understand that because injuries happen. And if he believes that he could play football, take a backup role. You'll find a way in there with these 17 game seasons. Shout out to Wasted. He says Baker should just be Baker. Baker Mayfield sucks. Baker can't start making commercials, bro. Baker Mayfield may lose his commercials now, bro. You watching WWE? Is that a joke? I don't watch WWE, man. I'm sorry. I don't watch WWE at all. Marcus Jones, CB out of Houston, good playmaker in the third round. I like him. Also like Josh Jobe or Josh Joby, however you want to say his name. But I like them both. For sure. Baker's a scrub for surely is. Baker, Jimmy G, all them boys are bums. Should be backups. Jimmy G was a backup, but he was able to hand the ball off better than any other quarterback in the NFL. So yeah. My bad. Nah, you good. I just don't watch it. Wasted should just be wasted. Facts. Shout out to my guy. Baker got evicted, bro. He got a whole lot of he didn't just get evicted. That man got kicked to the oh my god, that dude is just trash. He got his starting job took by a guy that they don't even know if he'll be able to play this season. Like they don't know that this man Watson will even get a suspension or not. So we'll see. Carr, cross my fingers, has been healthy for most of his career. We don't need a great backup. I disagree. I think that there's been two positions that the Raiders have been spoiled in recent memory. Number one is center. Number two is backup quarterback. These last 2 years, we've kind of been spoiled to the point where we've all questioned at one point if Mariota should start a game because we've had a phenomenal backup. You look at Mariota, the man's better start in Atlanta. So, I don't think so. I think that we do need a good backup, great backup. I take a great backup for sure. I take Fitzpatrick. I take Nick Foles. I take them boys. Baker asked for a trade. They told that boy no. I kind of feel, but they said no. Damn. Trade proposal for Baker Mayfield. Trade for a sixth round pick and a half-eaten sandwich. Damn. Is it turkey? What kind of sandwich? Wasted? What we talking about? Turkey sandwich? Bro, a half-eaten bologna joint? Damn. I kind of feel like Wasted is gonna send him a half-eaten bologna sandwich. That's crazy. Wasted seemed like the motherfucker that'll eat half a bologna sandwich and say, "Hey, you want some?" That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Why you think Brandon Parker? Wait, why you think we paid Brandon Parker so much? We paid Brandon Parker what 3.5. I think that's most definitely 3.5 that he shouldn't have had. But to be a swing tackle, Shout out to my brother in the chat, man. Grab was popping with you. Was popping, my brother. Damn, they said a half-eaten tuna salad. Fuck. Damn, PB&J. Oh, he says tuna or turkey or tuna, bologna if it's fried. Damn. Shoosh. Tough. Baker Mayfield worth a 6.5 eaten tuna sandwich. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. Holy shit. Nutella, nah, that's a little too high grade for Baker Mayfield. A little too high grade. A little too high grade. But what I do want to talk about, right? We already talked about Daryl Williams. We talked about a bunch of fucking players. But because we still got over 300 of you guys in here. Shout out to y'all for pulling up tonight. When it comes down to these free agents, like I said, I think that a guy like Calais Campbell, his value will actually go up after the draft. I think that possibly Stefan Gilmore's value will go up after the draft, seeing how many teams still need a corner, and understanding that this was a guy that played as the defensive player of the year in the NFL in just 3 seasons ago. So I think that there's a couple guys that'll gain value after the draft, but as of today, guys like Eddie Goldman, that's a starter. I think that you could get him on the cheap, 4.5, maybe 6. I say $7 million is Eddie Goldman's cap per year, but I think closer to $5 million a season. I think that Limbaugh Joseph could probably get $4.5 to $5 million a season. Brandon Williams probably like $4 million a season, but we'll see. We'll see. Robert, my guy, he says if I trade a 6 for Baker, they'd have to give me that sandwich on top. Damn, Corby. Damn, Corby a stingy motherfucker. Corby's stingy, bruh. This man, he said, listen, if I'm trading you a 6, y'all better send Baker in here with a packed lunch. They got a sandwich in here for me. That's crazy. He said we trying to win, no Nutella. Then what? Then we lose? Yeah, facts. Mariota's gonna kill in fantasy with Pitts. I don't give a you know what? Shout out to Mariota. Once a Raider, always a Raider. But bro, I don't give a fuck what they do in Atlanta. I really don't care. That's some of you guys are just scandalous, straight disrespectful. This man said tuna sandwich on moldy bread. Like, bro, that's so disrespectful. That's not even how you spell Well, you know what? I think that is how you spell moldy. Is that how you spell moldy? Hold on, let's see. Moldy bread. That is how you spell moldy. You know what? Let me shut up. I was about to say that's so disrespectful. You didn't even know how to spell this shit, but I don't know how to spell this shit. That's my fault. Let's see. Shout out to Tavio, my brother, always pulling up, showing love. He says, in that profile pic, I always say, man, that profile Nipsey too. That's fire. He says Jordan Schultz said that Tyra Matthew probably gets $8.5 to $11 million a year. Pay that motherfucker 11 all day. Call it a day. Listen, I tried to say it, man. I tried to say it. Tyra Matthew wasn't getting $13 million a season. He wasn't getting $13 million a season. He wasn't. Wait. Damn, I forgot what I was arguing now. Wasted. If you're still in here, did I argue that Tyra Matthew was going to get paid more or less? No, CL was right. I said that shit, man. I said, listen, Tyra Matthew gonna get less than $11 million a season. I said less than 13. If he feels that Tyra Matthews' price range right now is 8.5 to 11, bro, I'm with that. I'm with that all day. All day. And then let's run some Madden games. Listen, Derek Vehicle, what console you got? You were saying Les, you're the only one, to be honest. Listen, man. I said that he get paid more? Now we got conflicting reports. Come on now. What is this? We got conflicting reports right now, man. We got conflicting reports. I still like Fitzmagic. He threw 5,000 yards. He'd be a cool backup. He'd be a damn good backup. He'd be a damn good backup, bro. Nah, that's Capri. All right, facts, Tavion. Let him know. Let him know. Blue cheese. Andy, throw him a sandwich. He be good. Shit. I ain't throwing nobody shit. He better be throwing me the ball. You have receipts? Jesse, show me. Show me. He said he got receipts. Damn, Tavio, I'm fucking up, brother. He said he got receipts. Shh. Andy, did Wi-Fi take you in Madden? Nah. Wait, we didn't play. I think he played on like computer or something like that. On PC. He played on PC. I said he played computer. I'm dead. Honey Badger and Merrick would be a hell of a combo. Good luck throwing the ball downfield against that. Facts. Andy, you said less. More for Gilmore. There we go, Kenny. Bingo. I know Kenny would never lie to me. Facts. But look, you guys are completely right. But listen, this is just where I stand when it comes to Honey Badger or Gilmore. I'm going to start by saying this. If you get either one of them, you didn't have the best offseason in the league. You had the best offseason in the league. You can already argue without getting either one of those guys, you had the best offseason in the league. But here's where I stand when it comes to what's his name? Tyrann Mathieu and Stefan Gilmore. Okay. When it comes down to those two players, Stefan Gilmore is older, but he's been a guy that has been the best at his position at one point in time. I'm not sure that there was ever a year that Tyrann Mathieu was regarded as the best safety in the NFL. And my timeline could be incorrect, but when it comes down to Stefan Gilmore, I value the fact that our defense can say, look, Stefan Gilmore, we're going to have you on an island with their best receiver every single week. Every single week. So I value that more than a player that'll have to sit back in coverage and either have to bait or hope the quarterback makes a mistake. That's just what I see. On top of that, where they both stand at the moment, I think that you maybe could get Gilmore for less money. Now, what I will say as well, what I will also say is, in terms of Gilmore and in terms of Honey Badger, if they're both asking for the same money, I'm 10 times out of 10 getting Gilmore. Now, if Gilmore wants $15 million, but Honey Badger wants 10, I'm taking the Honey Badger. There are certain scenarios where I'm taking the Honey Badger, and in all those scenarios, it's monetary. It's all monetary value at that point. But player for player, who would I rather be on this roster coming week one, opening day? I'm taking Gilmore. You think Gilmore got a lot left in the tank? I think he has 2 solid seasons before he falls off that cliff. I really think he does. I think that with the position that Honey Badger plays, I think Honey Badger could be a top guy for 4 more years. But, I could be wrong. On that. But what I will say, though, you guys, is that when it comes down to the Honey Badger, when it comes down to Gilmore, player for player, I'm taking Gilmore. I think he adds more to this team. He's a guy that can get those interceptions. He's a guy that can lock down the receivers. He was the defensive player of the year of the league, in a league that has Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, T.J. Watt, all them boys. He was the best defensive player in the league. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Bradbury to the Rams, is that true? I haven't seen what? No, what? Where are y'all seeing that? Whoa, hold on. Where are you guys seeing that? Bradbury to the Rams? Hell nah, bro. Hell nah. Y'all better be lying, bro. Bradbury to the Rams? Y'all better be fucking lying. Numerous teams interested in Tyra Matthew, including Cowboys, Colts, Saints, Broncos, Eagles, Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, and Dolphins. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. Did Bradbury just get traded? Oh, fake. Oh, man. Casper, my brother. Whoo. Oh, my God. I would have been like, God damn, bruh. Bradbury and Ramsey, that shit would have been insane. That shit, I agree, GC. Don't let the Chiefs get Bradbury. Hell no, don't let the Chiefs get Bradbury. He meant Wagner, bro. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna be honest. Wagner stayed in the NFC. He even stayed in the NFC West. I don't care what the Rams are doing. I really don't. Um, you know, I think that with this pickup, though, you guys, what I will say, something that maybe not many people have mentioned so far today, if at all, with this Bobby Wagner pickup, I understand that the Rams are out here playing on Madden rookie mode with no salary cap. Do you think that officially closes the door and opens the door for the Raiders in terms of Odell Beckham? Do you think that the Rams have officially closed the door on bringing back Odell Beckham by giving Bobby Wagner a 5-year, $50 million deal worth up to $65 million? Do you think that money should have been offered to Odell? Do you think that money officially closes the door for a return for Odell Beckham to the Rams? What do you think? Do you think that door is officially closed for the Los Angeles Rams and Odell Beckham? They signed Allen Robinson. They traded away Robert Woods. Who knows? We got to play the Rams twice. No, we don't. Oh yeah, you right. Once in the regular season and once in the Super Bowl. Kenny, you right. You right. You right. Eddie Goldman, Honey Badger, and trade for Bradbury. Holy shit, dude. What an off season that would be. Unless the Rams giving away full contract on signing bonuses. That's true. That's true. If they start doing it at the NBA style, that'd be crazy. If the Rams are out here doing contracts NBA style, that'd be crazy. But like I said, I'm gonna ask you guys that. Do you think that officially closes the door with Bobby Wagner getting signed to the Rams on a $50 million deal? Do you think that closes the door for OBJ to return there? Do you think so? Do you think that closes the door for OBJ to return there? Now, I know the OBJ talk is probably annoying. It probably is. You're right. But it has to be said. It has to be said. And really quick, you guys, for any of you guys that are heading out to Vegas, please pull up and tap in with us, man. Me, Graf, Hammer, Wasted, we will all be out there. We will all be out there. We are yet to announce, or we are yet to find officially where the park will be at, but there will be a flag football game for you guys to attend if you'd like. We will all be there having fun. spending time with the nation near the draft where it's at. It will be in Vegas. So if any of you guys would like to pull up, please feel free. Have some fun with us. Most definitely. We would love to have you guys there. But check this out. For those of you guys who may be having any doubts, it may not be worth it. Check these out right here, man. Shout out to Whiskey and Whiskey. They have sponsored this whole thing. These are the jerseys. These are the jerseys that y'all may be rocking if you head out to Vegas and join us. So please, if you are making that trip out there to Vegas for the draft, spend some time, man. We will be here for the day. It is the Friday of the draft at 11 a.m. We will announce the park pretty soon. We're just trying to get that in place. And another thing, meet us at the Ahern Hotel. We will be there. It is the Ahern Hotel, 300 West Sahara Boulevard. Tap in with us, man. Tap in with us. He says, Andy gonna be at the Ahern Hotel draft weekend. We're at the what are the four horsemen planning there? Hey man, we're gonna be covering the draft. We are going to be covering the draft, man. So tune in with us for sure. We'll be talking a lot of Raiders, most definitely. We're gonna be talking about all Raiders, but definitely pull up and show your love and pop in with us. But look, I've almost made this shit a tradition. I've almost made this shit a tradition at this point, man. We love to close out the shows with this, so we got to do it. We absolutely have to do it. Mock draft time. He said, Derek Vehicle says, hey, I'll be sending for both teams. No shotgun. Come on, man. Raiders X says, when since Wagner's contract can reach $65 million. The Rams playing with monopoly money, so yes, they can sign OBJ, even though that door should be closed. That door should have been closed. Fucking the second they signed A-Rod, that door should have been closed. Like, bro, it's ridiculous how much bread they have. But we'll see. SVT says, draft for best player available. Okay. We got to practice what we preach. I'm gonna reject both of these, even though I kind of like this offer, but I'm gonna reject them both. Best player available. Quay Walker is the best player available. Quay Walker is most definitely the best player available on this draft board, so that's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go best player available. Gerald Wilson was second. I don't know. I don't fucking know. He is that man right there. Quay Walker was the best player available, so we drafted Quay Walker at pick 80. What was it, 86? Nick Cross is the best player available. This is a phenomenal draft. Nick Cross is the best player available. If we're doing best player available, this is gonna be quick. This is gonna be super quick. Super. Jack is and close it out with the laundry basket for longtime fans. Shout out to all the longtime fans in here that's been in the building, man. But I don't even know what that laundry basket went. I ain't gonna lie to you. Best player available here. You got Smoke Monday still on the board. Zamir White, Tariq Castro Fields. I'm not sure that that's the best player available though. Be so honest with you. Marcus Jones out of Houston. We were just talking about that, man. Let me go see what offensive lineman we got out there. Just big chilling. Oh, is Cade Mays on the board? Nope. Dylan Parham is. That's for surely best available. Now let's check out safeties. Bubba Bolden at 211. I don't understand how his draft stock has gone this far down. But I'm gonna draft Bubba Bolden here in the late in the fifth round. And we got our safety of the future. And last but not least, who we got? Devontae Pierce, Darion Kendrick. If Darion Kendrick falls this far down, you got to. Darion Kendrick out of Georgia, like, come on, bro. Due to his current situation, Darion Kendrick presents a difficult evaluation. He surprisingly entered the draft portal following the conclusion of the 2020 season. Furthermore, he currently remains without a team and was caught up in off-the-field issues involving law enforcement during the winter. From a purely based on perspective, Kendrick would comfortably be in the top 5 of cornerbacks in the 2022 NFL Draft. A former wide receiver who snagged 210 receiving yards at 14 yards per catch in the 2018, he transitioned to the from the offense to the defense side of the ball to help the team. Look, he is a good player. He is a good player, but at the same time, he got them off the field issues, so it's the perfect pickup for the Raiders. But but I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm not gonna do it. And actually, I'm gonna finish off with Kalon Barnes, cornerback out of Baylor. That man ran up that boy when he finished his 40 time, that boy had fire coming out of behind him. That man had fire coming out of behind him. He ran that fast. So check out the draft. We got Quay Walker, Nick Cross, Dylan Parham. What the oh, I'm so dumb. I drafted 2 safeties, bro. Oh my god, I completely forgot we had Nick Cross. But look, that is oh shit. God damn it, why the fuck did I do that? Fuck. Whatever. It is what it is, Raider Nation. Listen, you guys. We will be heading out. Shout out to everybody who tuned in tonight with not much to talk about. We still had over 300 of you guys in the building, always showing love to the channel. I cannot thank you guys enough. I love you guys, Raider Nation. On your way out, if you can, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps the channel a lot. We are growing. And I am very, very happy to say that everybody in the Raider Nation is showing extremely huge amounts of love to the channel, man. We are less than 300 away from 5,000 subscribers, you guys. So please, like I said, on your way out, hit that subscribe button if you are new. We got so much Raider content coming. And with the draft less than a month away, look for that draft content, and I will be dropping my first Raiders official mock draft very, very soon. And also, if you guys want a film breakdown, a film session on Bilal Nichols, our recently acquired defensive lineman, expect that this weekend. Me and Wasted Talent will be breaking down that film. So I look forward to doing that with you guys. Look forward to having all you guys, all these familiar faces in the chat. But as usual, Raider Nation, I love y'all. Stay safe. Take care. Have a blessed night. And I'm out, y'all.